installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Vicky, you were in college,
Yep.
and around during the heyday. So you're saying that tells me there's something to it.
Bro, it was next level. And I'm talking about, I was in there for when they played Washington. I've been in there for Oklahoma, Nebraska. I've been in there for Colorado, Nebraska, 1-2s, 1-3s. And look, it was good, but that was next level.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bakoven.
That's right. Let's spit some more wrestling talk here on a Sunday night on 93.7 The Ticket. The show is called Nuclear Heat. Maybe we should go to like Sunday Night Heat or something like that. That sounds a little more appropriate for wrestling. But we are in our new time slot, so happy to be here with you on a Sunday night. I am Jake Bachman, joined by my tag team partner, Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena. Augie, I know you're an Eagles fan, so it's been a bit of a rough day, but otherwise, how has your day been?
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the Cardinals, too, if we're going to talk about the Eagles. So, no, I mean, it's been good, a lot of good wrestling. Huskers won, so that's big, so we at least have that for us for football-wise. But wrestling-wise, I thought it was a pretty good week of some stuff, some good storylines, some good matches that happened. I thought it was a little bit of improvement. That's my opinion, on like SmackDown and whatnot. So yeah, it was a good time, and happy to be able to do it on a Sunday night now.
Yeah, it's a little different. If you don't know, we've been doing our shows on Tuesday evenings, so we're right off of Raw. Now we're right off of SmackDown. But next week we'll be right off of Bad Blood. Yep. So the new time slot will definitely help us with the premium live events. So that'll be a lot of fun. But it is going to shift our attention a little bit. We kind of do get Raw focused because that's fresh in our minds. Now we kind of got to go back into the week for Raw, but remember SmackDown pretty freshly. So lots to break down here. Of course, like I said, Bad Blood now a week away. We're getting closer and closer to the next premium live event, and it continues to kind of focus around our two favorite on our different brands, our two favorite factions in the WWE, the Bloodline and the Judgment Day. So we will break down Raw and SmackDown individually. That's kind of what we do. Go through every feud, go through every match, go through every backstage segment. That's right. This is very much a detail-oriented WWE review. And so it's a lot of fun. But we usually start the first segment just kind of talking about the main characters and feuds going on in general. And I suppose, even though last night you still got this bloodline thing I shouldn't say last night, Friday night, you still got the bloodline thing going on. But I think the biggest story to me still seems to be Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental title on Raw. He's been wildly over, merchandise seller, but has come up short over and over and over again in these single title opportunities. That was kind of helped build the feud. Braun Breaker basically said as much. Nobody in your family's beat somebody from my family. I've done more than you have in 6 months than in 16 years for Jey Uso, or 13 years, whatever it is, in your singles career. And it led to the Intercontinental title opportunity for Jey Uso. I suppose he earned that in the weeks prior with the tournament that kind of set it up that way. But Jey Uso does get the win. Very hard-fought battle with Braun Breaker. who is now a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, but neither of his reigns have lasted too long. But we've said it before, strike while the iron's hot. Did you like the booking decision to put Jey Uso over finally?
It's tough. I was very surprised by it. I guess I can't say I don't like it. I was kind of just, like you said, the crowd's really behind him. He's one of the hottest acts here. It was a really good story. You kind of got a little bit of goosebumps, once he did pin Braun and went from there. So I think they made the right choice. And I think, I was always worried that it would kind of kill some of the momentum that Braun had going, but I think it did the opposite. I think it showed that both of them are great in performer and great in the ring, great on the mic, of course, and this elevates Jey to that real main event, Jey Uso, and this kind of keeps the feud going for a while. And I wasn't as excited about it, but I think they did the right thing, what they needed to do there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and I think both of us have made it clear. You'll learn if you're new to the show, we've kind of got our favorites, guys we kind of cling to, and Braun Breaker is one of those. He's a guy that I thought should have brought in, maybe got the Goldberg treatment running through everybody. Haven't quite done that. Have kind of told the story of, he is a beast. He can battle anybody, but he's still a rookie and he will make mistakes here and there. That was kind of the showing against Sami Zayn. This one, not so much that story being told, but it is interesting that they decided not to have long title reigns for either of his runs so far as Intercontinental title. And you wonder, oftentimes when you make this move and you pull it, like Gunther, you pull the Intercontinental title reign off of him as he's ready for the next big thing, the challenge for the big belt. Braun Breaker doesn't feel positioned quite for that. Maybe surprisingly, if they do, I wouldn't be against it. But it is interesting to see where they go from here with him. And with Jey, I think you're right. I mean, he's just listen to the crowd, listen to the reaction. Yeah. If booked correctly, his story, his breakup from the bloodline should be still drawing money today. But he's just kind of been lingering as always the eternal good guy that's there to help and doesn't quite win the singles titles. Now that he's got this Intercontinental title run, it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward with him. How strong of an Intercontinental Championship reign does he have? Or is this opening up the possibility of Jimmy coming back or, the other, some sort of bloodline interference? So there's just a lot of different creative booking ways they can go with it. But Jey Uso's entrance already pops. I suppose on Monday night it's going to pop even more.
Oh, yeah. And, as I sat back and thought of it, I was like, man, this was very interesting. But, speaking of, our favorite two factions, the Judgment Day, I think this is going to affect that as well, because at Bad Blood which is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
It's on Saturday. Jey is going to be in the corner of, probably both Rhea and Damian in their matches. He's helping. We kind of saw a glimpse of Braun, kind of not siding with the Judgment Day, but he interfered. He interfered because Jey brought it in. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic. So they'll kind of be around in there. And at the same time, this was match one for them, right? So you take the belt off of Braun and have Jey have it, for right now, and we might have a trilogy of this, where it kind of hot potatoes, or at the end of it, Braun does it. But I just think it was the right decision. And like I said, Braun didn't lose anything from this, because as you mentioned, he's still a rookie. He's been on the main roster for less than a year, and already got a singles title. So that's huge. So yeah, it'll be good. And I was actually really impressed with the match. I was surprised. Jey has really cleaned up those spears. He still super kicks a lot, but everything else other than that, I thought went great for them.
Yeah, a very entertaining match. And you wonder too, with its placement as the main event, either Jey might eventually win. Again, it kind of goes through your you have to suspend your disbelief in a lot of times that in the WWE, but in particular, it's just kind of like, are they finally going to push him? And it didn't feel like Braun couldn't lose this match, but they certainly could have built up a better title reign for him. So it was just kind of interesting how they positioned it. And I think it is time to, again, strike while the iron's hot, not wait a little too long, long, as we believe, at least I believe, that they've done with LA Knight. Kind of took, some of the initial crazy crowd reaction to him. Now it's still there, but you're building with his character, and I think they're doing a good job with him now too.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem like they got the right time, and so Jay, I think it's probably still in that category of striking while the iron's hot and at the right time. Let's go to the main event of SmackDown. Excuse me. This one, of course, was kind of setting up for what we're going to see at Bad Blood. The big matchup at Bad Blood is finally Cody Rhodes. I shouldn't say finally. Surprisingly, Cody Rhodes teaming with Roman Reigns. They had their whole stare down standoff in the middle of Georgia Tech's field. So shout out college football when we can. Mention it along with Joe Tessitore here and there. But it's so they had that promo run through, and then on SmackDown with no Roman Reigns, they were still able to involve this title picture and get it going. Bloodline comes out. You have Randy Orton make his return, and Kevin Owens makes his return as well. And they want to fight with the Bloodline. And Cody Rhodes at first says he wants to make it a triple threat. And then Kevin Owens talks him down. And then you have the actual match. And so it's just RKO and KO against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. And ultimately, it was I like how they did the storytelling here. We've been talking too that when I say just like happy good guy face when I was throwing Jey Uso, that's exactly where Randy Orton and Kevin Owens have been, just kind of the good guy tag-alongs with Cody Rhodes. And we don't always have the most patience for that sort of thing. But I think that with what they did now Friday night, was kind of brought it back into it for me. I thought this was a good way of making it interesting, is that they didn't want Cody's help this time, or at least Kevin Owens didn't. Yeah. Kevin Owens tells him that as much backstage. He goes to get ready. Randy Orton never can really trust Randy, backstage or anywhere. So it's always kind of fun to play along there. Tells him that he does indeed want his help if some of the more Bloodline members get involved. They do. Cody gets involved. Cody costs him the match. And then Kevin Owens basically has a little bit of a brouhaha with Cody without getting any fists thrown or anything, just kind of getting frustrated. And that's how they closed out SmackDown. So it's really setting up for either Kevin Owens or Randy Orton to get frustrated with Cody for having teamed with Randy Orton. And maybe that will be something that plays out at Bad Blood. Maybe that's for afterwards. But either way, it kind of freshens up even a Kevin Owens feud as the heel, instead of kind of this, also good guy, which he just had with Cody Rhodes. I think would freshen that up even, or they can go the surprise route of looks like Kevin Owens is going to turn, Randy Orton turns. So lots of intrigue to still kind of see what happens between our least favorite three good guys, at least as far as a little faction that they have now with a little bit of disagreement between them.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I really was surprised at how much I enjoyed this. We kind of had called it that they're going to turn him at some way, but I do like that it is still involved with Roman Reigns. It's off of that because, SmackDown opened with Randy Orton saying, explain to me, Cody, why, we're doing this. Because we talked about it too. Cody, after he pinned Solo, in the main event of SmackDown 2 weeks ago, he said, I'm done with the Bloodline. Well, right away, he's right back in Bloodline business, at the end of the same show. And, it irked us in a way, and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton both have been, victims of the Bloodline. They were, man, especially Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens should have won, but that was so bad. Like 2 years ago in that, was it the last man standing match when Roman couldn't get out of the handcuffs or something? Yeah. And everybody, and they stopped counting because they couldn't get him off it. And it's like,
Kevin Owens legitimately should have won.
Yeah, should have ended that reign there. So he's got legitimate beef, and I like it. And I'm kind of getting tired of the Cody, this Cody character, that good guy. So you can kind of see him also kind of turning into this. What would you call it? Like a when you're not a face but a baby, but just. Or a heel. He's an in-betweener. Yeah. He's still gonna do the baby face things, but he's kind of got that attitude of the heel that he needs. Especially in that promo with Roman Reigns, which I thought was great. The Georgia Tech, they both just bashing each other.
Yeah, it's tough to say who's the good guy eventually in that.
And it's I kind of like it, and I kind of like Kevin Owens' character. We talked about it of being, a heel. That's the greatest in Randy Orton. So I thought they did a really good job with this. The match itself, I thought, was kind of the same old, predictable, but the storyline built to it, I think we're finally starting to see some payoff. The downside, though, is once again Solo Sikoa and the current bloodline, they're kind of falling to the side of another storyline, because now people are going to want this Cody Owens, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton feud, and they're trying to still build up Solo somehow, and he got the pin, but everybody's kind of and even at the end, I thought it was ironic because at the end of the match, the camera was on Solo, and Solo's like, no, pointed at them. I don't know if you caught that. And in my mind, I was kind of like, no, Solo, I think you kind of want it on you, because everybody's focusing on that other feud. You need it more than them. And I just thought that was funny, but I'm kind of getting interested in this again. It's got my attention, and I think Triple H and the writing team, I think it's after a couple of dull months, it's starting to pay off a little bit and heat back up.
Yeah, I think it is. It is, but you are right though. I think the one thing that's kind of falling a little bit short is that the new bloodline, though, like here, they get a win in a win over Kevin Owens. Pinning Kevin Owens should mean something, but it just feels like they're like, I guess part of my problem with the match that I have set up at Bad Blood is, let's say that Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes beats them.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? Well, then they're probably still going to come out, on SmackDown and try to challenge them and say they're the biggest, baddest guys that run everything. So, they just kind of do this quick, real quick, like couple. If it gets done for a couple weeks, then maybe they can tell the fans that this new bloodline has been running SmackDown. That's kind of what they're going like. They're just ruining everything. They've been tormenting SmackDown for so long, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's just never been all that believable. They haven't really been dismantling SmackDown.
Yeah.
The tag team champs now, which they did give them championships, which is important for Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, because otherwise they would be as believable as Zelina Vega taking over.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't get singles wins enough anyways.
That's very true.
And so, it's just the intrigue again, and it's specifically Solo Sikoa. The intrigue in this 4-man match coming up. I want to see Jacob Fatu. Of course, I want to see Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes tag team. Solo, doesn't do anything for me.
Well, we've seen him lose to everybody.
Yeah.
That's kind of, you talked about it before, in the build up to the greatest main event of all time. Solo was kind of the sacrificial lamb for the bloodline. And then they turn around and they try to turn him into his bat. Well, just 2 weeks ago, he lost fair and square, 1, 2, 3 to Cody Rhodes. So to me, it's like, what other claim does he had? He's still taking pins. Yeah, he pinned Cody Rhodes once. He pinned Kevin Owens. Okay, that's supposed to be impressive, like you said, but it's not. It's just not working. And you look at it this way. Looking a little bit ahead to Bad Blood, you can't possibly have Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes take a pin, right? Like Roman Reigns is coming back after months of being gone. He's I would still say he's at the top, with kind of the fans and everything. And Cody's your WWE champion that worked so hard for it. They like you said, they kind of put themselves in a corner, because how is there any chance that Solo or Jacob, get a victory here, unless they just stun the world and, Roman first match, he gets pinned, or they sacrifice Cody once again for the bloodline. And I just don't think that's going to work. And then the next Friday, they'll probably have a big return if Solo and Jacob, end up taking a pin. The Rock will finally come back. And to me, the only legitimacy this new bloodline have would be The Rock, because then everybody else is just taking pins. It just doesn't work. And they should have had them feud with someone other than Cody Rhodes for the last, what has it been, 5 months? They should have done other feuds, something else where they could have picked up wins. Like I said, I know they picked up one win, but people seem to forget about that. They should have had them, like you said, run through the roster. They didn't do that. They didn't terrorize anybody else other than Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes for the past 5 months. And, that it just hasn't worked. I think they kind of missed a step there. So I'm curious, I know as well as you are, just to see on Saturday, I think we all pencil it that Cody and Roman are going to win that one, but they got to have Jacob Fatu at least look dominant. And they've been building up Solo to do something because he's going to be in a WrestleMania main event, when it comes time for it. So they got to shock the world, I guess. I mean, that's really their only option they have with it.
Well, and I think they have to do something at Bad Blood to kind of turn the attention now, because you're right. I mean, I think the world's done. They already had the SummerSlam main event. You had the first episode of SmackDown for the season in a steel cage match. Like the Cody versus Solo thing's done, and everybody's kind of ready for that to move on. So you kind of have to turn it now to where Roman has to get the Ulafala necklace from Solo. Because that's really all the purpose that Solo has left in this story. And so unless they kind of pivot it to somehow, again, now with Cody with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, maybe they can make some sort of interference that might cost them. And then Roman is still maybe, still frustrated at some point, and he can move on there. And then Cody can kind of move on in the different direction. But I gotta believe the Cody versus Solo stuff, they've just about worn that out. This is the last time I think you can really make it interesting. And even you remember kind of leading up to SummerSlam, they did some sort of tag team, premium live event where Solo did pin Cody.
Yeah,
and that was a bad decision. Like so it's not that they haven't tried to like build Solo up, but he's not a made man, and he just there's not much they can do at this point to make that happen. And so we'll see. There's a lot of creatively that's interesting about this. They are like kind of openly, publicly debating what should be the main event of Bad Blood, and that can kind of tell you, okay, what's the big, typically you want to send the show off with a big surprise. Sometimes they don't, just to surprise you in the other way that, and other times that it's not going to be. So we'll kind of see what they do here. But I suppose, the other factor in that is Jacob Fatu, because if he pins either Roman or Cody, well, then that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because then you say, okay, well, what does that mean? He can have a fresh run with both of them. And that just kind of tells you, though, too, is like Solo, it's not a lack of trying. Sometimes you can blame writing. And we definitely think that creative got in the way of this. They could have done it a lot better. But Jacob Fatu's been here for it's probably been a month and a half, but it feels like, 3 weeks.
Yeah. And
I'm intrigued to see him just because of his in-ring ability and just kind of his menacing look. Way more than I was ever really interested in this post, new bloodline Solo facing either Cody or Roman.
Yeah, and man, while you were talking, I just thought of it because how Jacob Fatu is like, oh, I love you, Solo, dedicated to him. I have a feeling they're gonna go down the road of Solo's not gonna allow Jacob to pin either one of them. It has to be Solo. So interesting still, but we can kind of see with that. But man, do you remember Solo was kind of the Jacob Fatu when he came in? Remember, so much hype. He was the enforcer. He didn't get pinned for the first year he was
had
in.
His own undefeated streak,
and he was great. And then he was, he was the enforcer for Roman Reigns. I thought amazing. And then they started letting him talk. First off, that was, he wasn't ready for that. They should have let Paul Heyman do it. And then secondly, they just started sacrificing him. So they've done this before, where they have this, great guy come in, all hyped up, undefeated streak, animal, just beast. And then they kind of throw him to the wayside for, so I'm nervous about that for Jacob Fatu. But, on top of what the main event for the Bad Blood would be, I'm with you. I at first was like, man, it's got to be Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. But, do they throw us that surprise of a new bloodline member comes out? We've been talking? The Rock, we're all kind of waiting for that. Is this when they're going to kind of introduce him? At the same time, it's kind of worked of Jimmy being away. Does Jimmy come back somehow and, interfere with that? I'm still intrigued with it. They're we both said they're going to really have to surprise us just to keep us guessing on it, because I mean, there's so many ways it can go. And if they choose to go the wrong way, it can go south. Even with Roman Reigns, I think, being the headliner, kind of going with it, they can still ruin the momentum that they have going here. And that's got me worried just a little bit for it.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, like you said, because Roman Reigns still kind of tweetering between heel. He's got the crowd reaction, everybody cheering original tribal chief OTC. So he's kind of turning face or in the process of it, but he could still do some heelish things if he needs to.
Yep.
And I don't think it would cost, the crowd reaction too much. So just a lot. And we've said, I mean, what we do here is sit down and break and basically complain about certain things that they do on the show. And I think the Bloodline story for the last several years has been some of the best stuff they've done in WWE in years. At almost every which turn, I would have done a little bit different here, a little bit different there. But it is, I do think it does kind of get close to, I mean, thank God that Jacob Fatu is there, because the new Bloodline just doesn't have a whole lot of really anything to it, despite them trying to put Solo over after burying him, despite giving the championship belts, the tag team titles to the others. Again, but it kind of felt like that was kind of rushed, and we just needed to give it, like, if you would have told their story, made them look menacing, have them beat, some of the top tag team champions, in a tournament to get them there, then it's okay. Okay, this looks a little bit better. It just kind of feels like it was just kind of put on them quickly, just as accessories to tell you this new Bloodline is something to be messed with. Ultimately, I think you want to get back to the original Bloodline against the new Bloodline. That would make the most sense. But it just feels like they're a long ways away to go from there. And you've got, the Rock factor, like you said. And so it's just interesting. I don't know if they'll ever get back to that, or how do you get back to that and pay off? I guess the original idea of that would be, that would be at the top of the card. Will it be by the time you get there? It's interesting because I think that's what everybody sees happening, but I don't know if they're going to, get around to it. And of course, in wrestling, a lot of the time too, it's, a guy gets injured, somebody leaves the company, something like that. And so that's why we say you got to strike while the iron's hot, when we're talking about with Jey Uso, because who knows, at some point, are you ever going to be able to do that, put that back together? It's kind of the Shield reunion everybody wants at some point. Well, you're going to have to eventually get Jon Moxley back to the WWE.
Yeah, and you're right with that, and things. I mean, because when you look at it, also what original Bloodline are they going to go with? Would Sami Zayn get involved? I know you've wanted that.
Love it.
I think everybody would love that because that was, I think, when it was at its height. When Sami Zayn was involved, that was first comedy gold, but two, just the storyline. Just he kept it going. Paul Heyman, he's got to come back. You can tell he's missing, from all of this. He was great. And all of it. But I really do, like you, hope that they do a new Bloodline versus old Bloodline. I think that'd be awesome. And then the next step you'd have to think is at the WrestleMania, because they're still teasing, as you said, Roman still got his eye on that championship. He's trying to take care of his family right now, the whole family dynamic. But next is he's going after that gold, which is where, we've talked about he's kind of in between a heel and a babyface. So I'm really, really interested in that. And, for me, we've been waiting. They keep teasing us, man. When's The Rock going to come back? I keep waiting for that. I'm interested in when Jimmy's coming back too, because when they start introducing those pieces back, I think we'll all agree they're going in the right direction, kind of regardless of how this new Bloodline's going. Because if you add The Rock to any side, it gives it that legitimacy. It's The Rock can kind of do it all himself. And I mean, plus he's on the board, so he's not going to let it fail when he's involved. And they have 20 different ways they can go with this. I guess we complain a lot, but hey, they pulled it off last WrestleMania, right? I mean, I have faith they're going to do it. They're just really slowly burning it for us. And, it's sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it pays off. Like I think this last Friday was a little bit good. But man, I will say, I may be in the minority of this, but I think it's been lacking the last couple of months there.
Yeah, I do think it has. I think that this new kind of story, again, we don't know what's going to happen on Saturday. I think that's where they want you to be. So they at least are in a good spot there. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here on Nuclear Heat. In fact, we're going to start playing some NFL here. If you're listening to the radio airways, if you like wrestling, you like our wrestling talk, join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We got all those streams running. Or Al, you can check us out there. We'll continue with Nuclear Heat coming up next. But again, the terrestrial radio will go to NFL football. And if you just want to stick with football but like wrestling talk, we'll be back next week as well. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be back with more Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Ricky, you were in college,
Yeah.
and around during the heyday.
yeah.
So
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're saying that tells me there's something to it.
Bruh, it was next level. And I'm talking about, I was in there for when they played Washington. I've been in there for Oklahoma, Nebraska. I've been in there for Colorado, Nebraska, 1-2s, 1-3s. And look, it was good, but that was next level.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Clear Heat with your host, Jake Bakoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, we are back here on a Sunday night. Once again, Nuclear Heat, WWE Week in Review. I'm Jake Buckman alongside Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena, and this is our due time. So join us Sundays from 6 to 7 to talk about the previous week in wrestling. That's right, pro wrestling. This is not wrestling. We get Mark Manning down here and talk a little bit of wrestling at some point too here at 93.7, but we'd like to talk some pro wrestling as well. And we just kind of went through some of the main events of WWE Raw and SmackDown, but I kind of want to get to some of the other stories as well. So let's start with Raw and finish with SmackDown. The only thing I think there's that we started Raw with, I think was pretty good. A good way to start it, I should say, was that they had Liv Morgan and Dom entering the arena. They've been doing these arena shots of the talent coming in. I think that's looked spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
They look like absolute stars. But in this one particular, Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed crashed through at the back. They're still fighting. You can't keep them apart. That's a good way to kind of an eye-opening way to open up Monday Night Raw. So I thought that was pretty good. And then they had Liv Morgan and Dom come out. Eventually, Rhea Ripley gets out there, and we kind of get a stipulation. Eventually, ends in a stipulation for Bad Blood of a shark cage being added in Dirty Dom. Dominic Mysterio will be locked once again behind bars. This time in a shark cage above the ring. They don't do the stipulation often, so it's kind of fun, and it's very fitting. I think Dom in a cage makes a lot of sense here.
Oh, it's hilarious. And I love his reaction. I can't go back. I can't go behind bars. I can't do it. Oh, man, we keep talking about it, and I know that's not the point of this segment, but he needs to just be pushed to the moon because he is so great at his character. Everything he does just makes me laugh. He just has so much heat behind him. It's amazing. But I thought it was a great way to start Monday Night Raw, and I think these three, are just gold. You have a hit because even though we talk about the realism, the believability of it all, we all think Rhea should pin Liv pretty easily. And she technically did, in the tag team match in the last pay-per-view. So things like that. But their talk on the mic is just great. And, I'm very curious to see what this match does look like, where it's just a straight up one-on-one. Because Dom's normally the one that normally interferes. Of course, you've got the other three guys from the bloodline that can. So very curious with that. And, but I love this. I love the stipulation. It's really got me intrigued to see Dom just kind of dangling there from a shark cage. He's going to be yelling the whole time, distracting Liv, and Rhea's going to be eating it up in the crowd. So I'm very intrigued and excited to see that.
Do you think that they can pass this belt back and forth, or do you think that Rhea finally beating Liv is going to have to put an end to it? Because it feels like there's a lot left on this feud.
Yeah. I don't think you can pass it back and forth. I think Liv needs to retain somehow because Rhea chasing the title, like as you said, it feels like there's just so much more that can be happen with this. They can't do the dangerous hot potato with it. I don't like that. I think we agree. You're not as big of a fan of it. So yeah, I unfortunately think Liv needs to somehow retain this to keep their storyline going with it, and keep Rhea hungry for that title.
Yeah, and like you said, I think there's a couple other Judgment Day members that could get involved, and we'll have to see what happens on that evening between the Prince and Judge and Priest anyway. So maybe it will be a big Judgment Day evening where the Terror Twins come out pretty frustrated once again. And again, while that's pretty much what they did, the previous pay-per-view, I think there's more to continue with that. And so I think that could be a creative way that they continue to roll with. And like I said, and we've said before, if you are going to do, and we'll do a review of what's coming up on Bad Blood at the end. But Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Balor almost has to win. Or Priest can win, but I've been one way or the other. You have to get to Balor as the demon.
Yeah, 100%. You have to, and I agree with you. In order to keep the feud going, because if Priest wins, what else does he have? Like what other reason does he have to keep going after it?
Yeah.
They're building it up. You can't have it just one match at this point. We've been calling for this for a while, and you have to have the demon come out, and it's not going to be this one. So I agree with you. Finn has to get the win, whether it's interference, just whatever they decide to go on there. He has to get it to continue that storyline because there's just so much left of it.
Yeah, and we'll see. Again, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for the main event. Probably is going to factor into what they do in each one of those matches. As we continue on into WWE Raw or WWE Raw review, Sami Zayn defeated Ludwig Kaiser, who's been getting more and more screen time. One of my favorite up-and-comers, Ludwig Kaiser. But this not necessarily about him. Sami getting the revenge on Ludwig, and not really revenge. Ludwig's just talking trash. And so Sami gives him his comeuppance, I suppose. And then the story here is that Gunther comes out. Basically, this was seen as, okay, you took down my accompanying man, and now you've earned my respect, and now we can fight. But it was set up that way, and Gunther once again says, no, we're not going to have a championship bout here. Obviously, it ends in a championship bout between them eventually. Do you like the story? It's a little like it doesn't make the most sense in the world because Sami did beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title, but I think that's part of kind of what they're letting they want you to remember that and that's part of the heat that Gunther is getting.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. It's a different character in Gunther because he's always kind of been the serious. He has some comedy, on there, but I like it. I think it's hilarious, and we agreed. While people love Sami Zayn, we don't not like him. We just don't always think it's the same old story for him. He's once again here. He's trying to prove that he deserves a chance for Gunther. Yeah. But like you said, he's the last person that pinned Gunther, so, and he took the Intercontinental Championship away from him. So it's a little confusing, but I mean, it's giving Gunther something good, and I think he's killing it on his end. And then Sami Zayn, he's delivering, and Ludwig, I got to give you props. I think he's doing a phenomenal job of being the guy taking the pin there. He's been great on it, but I'm 50-50 with it. I'm fine with it, as long as they, it's going to probably keep going for a little bit on here. So, I'm 50-50 is what I'll say. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, it's I think it's a feud that's at least entertaining enough, and that's what they needed to do because there's no way that Gunther in his first title defense is going to lose to Sami Zayn. And as while it was fresh, it wasn't, it was never really going to be believable. I don't think they've necessarily pulled you back into he might actually do it, but he can put on a match where you get to have some near falls and, maybe believe for half a second. But ultimately, I think they've made it interesting. They've made Gunther, come out looking like an ass, which I think is the goal. So, that's that's all working well there, I think. Then we move on. American Alpha and New Day set up a backstage match. New Day, they're kind of continuing to tell the story. Xavier Woods now in control. Kofi just said, if you don't like how I've kind of been calling some shots, we'll let you lead now. And American Alpha still looking over their shadow to see, looking over their shoulder, I should say, to see if there's any monsters behind them after they've been dealing with the Wyatt Six lately. They did end up having a match, so it's not necessarily in order, but this set up the match later to where American Alpha did defeat New Day, and you still have kind of dissension within the New Day. We talked about it before. It's almost the 10-year anniversary. I think that they're kind of putting New Day in a spot, in at least an interesting spot, more interesting than they've been in a long time, and they've really struggled since Big E's left. You can always throw them out there for another tag team to kind of put a tag team over and say, okay, well, they beat them, so that means something. And so they've done a good job as kind of that veteran, respected, made men, like I said earlier, spot, but they just haven't had a lot, creatively for them. And I think this is about as interesting as they've been since Big E's been gone.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just a little worried because we talked about it. Kofi has that credibility of being a single star, right? And Xavier Wood was the king of the ring, I think, the last time they did it. But if they do go down this route, and they can always insert Biggie kind of back into it because he's a commentator role, right? He just can't. I don't think he's been cleared to wrestle. I just worry about like Xavier Woods' ability to stay relevant afterwards. Because he before this, I mean, he really hasn't before the New Day. And I think we can agree. We've been really spoiled the last couple years because I would say they're one of the most dominant tag team champions we've ever seen. It's just, every team, every wrestler kind of runs its course. And I think they kind of have there. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see, we'll see if there's a big payoff of a one-on-one trilogy, as we like to say, between them. Could be pretty interesting. Like I said, I get nervous because they both can then just kind of really fall off, and then they won't have each other, like you said, they can put people over because as tag team champs, they can or tag team, they can. As singles, I mean, only really Kofi can because we're not going to really get into the fact he was squashed by Brock, after that. But, he was at least a champion. So, you a singles champ for the WWE. So, yeah, I'm just a little worried about that, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, but at least, interesting enough. I don't think Dragon Lee beating Carlito is too interesting. It's only, Rey Mysterio helped out, little LWO bump, but they'll be back to losing pretty quickly, as has been happening. Miz and Bronson Reed was supposed to be the match. Braun Strowman interjects, and it sets up for a last monster standing this upcoming week on Raw. Obviously, the Bronson Reed, the Tsunami's been great. Braun Strowman's the guy that's probably creative just hasn't been able to find something for him. So this has been really good between the both of them. The new intrigue is the Miz feels kind of like he's left out. Do you want him to get involved in this last man standing? Do you like this kind of turning into three men where one's not a monster?
So not really, but at the same time, I thought they were going to go maybe in the direction of the Miz could possibly become like a manager for Bronson Reed. Because they're obviously pushing Bronson. And first off, I think this is gold. I think this is going great. Your guy is getting a great push, and Braun Strowman, I think, is looking great for it as well. Anything the Miz is put into, I think is great, because the Miz is one of those guys. He's just a really great worker. He does, great things. He'll elevate it. And I think that's what they're really going for. But yeah, I would have rather him be a manager type role for one of them, the voice, opposed to possibly being involved with it. It'll be funny, which this is hard hitting monster, but it's also been a lot of comedy.
Right.
And it's been great there. So I'm interested in it, but I think they could have gone in a little bit of a different direction.
Yeah. I like the monsters battling, I like the big men going at it. Miz is great no matter what you really do with him. So it doesn't take away really anything. I just hope, he doesn't get overly involved.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of see what they go with there. Drew McIntyre's promo, kind of just a promo right back at CM Punk, which is good. Again, these two have been going at it for what feels like years, but it's been months.
Yeah.
And hopefully it ends at Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. And not much to mention here, just saying again that I think it's good that you kind of keep them apart a little bit before this match.
I want to say CM Punk's wife, AJ Lee, she posted on Instagram.
Yes.
Lenny was with CM Punk in the ring at Monday Night Raw.
The dog?
Yep, the dog.
Okay.
The dog was there, and she posted something like, that dog with dog, like something about it hinted, whoa, are we gonna get that dog in AJ Lee appearance? So I'm very intrigued by, and she did it on Monday. She did it beforehand.
Will the dog interview? He could probably get into the cage where
dude, I'm just kind of bringing it in because, I've joked about it, but we finally saw the dog and CM Punk in the ring. It wasn't during, Raw with Drew McIntyre, but hey, they're giving us what we want there. That's really what we want from this storyline. So,
well, AJ Lee more so than the dog.
Well, I'm a really big dog guy, but yes, I would take both of them coming back at the same time too. So yeah, I just thought that was, I thought that was hilarious at the timing and everything with it.
We already mentioned Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental title. So the only other thing from Raw to break down quickly is Damage Control defeats Unholy Union. Probably the right move there. I think that's it. Any thoughts on that?
No, not really. It's kind of the same old. I think unfortunately the tag team championships on the women's side are kind of, they're just doing something.
It positions Damage Control to go after Bianca and Jade Cargill, which will be interesting because they're both kind of faces right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
We'll see with it. I mean, they kind of same old with them as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a Holy Union, we'll see. I mean, they've got a lot of potential. They've kind of been put over, but I've said for a long time they kind of need to find a gimmick. Because I don't know what that is other than they're like two witch people. Yep. I wouldn't go as far to say witches. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know exactly what their thing is, but they're pretty good in the ring. Yeah. They've been, in the upper card here with these other tag teams. So we'll kind of see what goes on there. All right, let's take another quick break, finish out the show. We'll review what we did not yet so far for SmackDown and then get to our Bad Blood preview and predictions coming up next year. Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier Sea-Doo dealership. Score up to $300 off or a free 2-year warranty on 2024 Sea-Doo Sparks and $500 off or a free 2-year warranty on all other brand new 2024 Sea-Doos. Rule the streets on an Indian motorcycle with customer cash and trade-in credits up to $2,000 during the month of September. On or off-road, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of motorcycles and watercraft in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraskans are proud of their public schools. Hi, I'm Tim Royers. As a Nebraska Teacher of the Year, I traveled across the state and saw the value public schools bring to our communities every day. They're where our kids get the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. They're where families come together to enjoy a musical, cheer for our teams, talk with teachers, and build trusted relationships. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
It's back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakovan, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket, looking as we are to wrap things up with a little bit of SmackDown review and then Bad Blood, preview as we get ready for the premium live event on Saturday. Of course, again, we talked a little bit about Raw, the main event there. We talked plenty about Roman Reigns in Cody Rhodes and what's kind of going on there, so we won't have to go back and look that over. I think one of the more interesting things to happen in SmackDown, though, was what's going on with the Women's World Championship. First of all, Bayley goes out to Damage Control music. So that started off the show with quite a bit of a surprise and okay, not necessarily know what's going on there. Somebody might get fired, at least the Stern talking to, because that confused just about everybody. And she won her opportunity to go on and fight for the championship again by defeating Naomi in a hard-fought battle that both of them very good. They can put on a pretty good match. And then backstage you have the champion and her sidekick, kind of the heels of this sort of thing, kind of at odds with each other too. And so it looks like, for the most part, it looks like you're going to be splitting Bayley and Nia Jax. And then Naomi with Tiffany Stratton. And so, I think that's going to be very entertaining. We've been talking about how they have to kind of find something for Naomi to do. She's kind of been directionless, just kind of thrown in where they need her. I don't think this necessarily changes anything, but this is a very good spot to put her up against Tiffany, whichever way you want to go there. But I think the bigger story here is that Nia Jax very directly told Tiffany that if it ends bad for Nia, that it's going to end bad for Tiffany. And so, I think just it goes further into allowing the crowd to be excited and happy for Tiffany as, positioned as a heel, but coming over to the good side.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I thought they really needed to do something different, and I think this adds to it, as you said. And I love, I love the Tiffany Nia side of this all, because there's that intrigue with the Miss Money in the Bank, things like that. And, Nia having the, we know we're eventually going possibly towards a collision between them two, which I'm very excited for. I was a little nervous for at first, but I think they're doing a good job with, having that storyline going. I will just say Tiffany Stratton is just killing it kind of in this like henchman, sidekick role. And Nia, for her part, I thought she's been doing a really good job too, holding that women's world champion, being that dominant force as she should be. She's, she's got the build for it.
Yeah,
She's got it. So, and I think they're positioning her in the right way. And I think, Bayley and Naomi kind of being friends, that wrestle and kind of going at this together. I think that is interesting. I agree.
Yeah. So it's good there. What's not interesting is Andrade and Carmella Hayes fighting once again. Now, I shouldn't say that for everybody, because if the actual in-ring stuff is fantastic and they add something new every week, these guys are very good in-ring. And now they're kind of throwing LA Knight in the middle of it. So LA Knight basically gets involved, distracts Andrade, who wasn't happy about the way that LA Knight shook his hand. And so, it's kind of funny. So Carmelo Hayes does get the win, maybe opens up for another match between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. But more importantly, I think is starting to drift toward these three getting involved. And of course, LA Knight has the U.S. Championship. And so I think that's kind of where all these guys kind of belong, at least freshens it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But my goodness, how many times more can they get?
I think this is part 6.
Can they
tease
Andrade and Carmelo Hayes for another week and expect people to tune in?
Part 7 coming Friday night. I don't know. I laughed when I saw it. I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's got to be something else. Like you said, they're great in the ring, but holy cow, 6 weeks in a row of the same match on and on again. You cannot do that. I mean, they bring in LA Knight, kind of mix it up, give it something, because I cannot watch a part 7 of that. That's for sure.
What I'm looking forward to is Chelsea Green in a what are they calling that? A trash can match?
Yeah.
Or something like that. A dumpster match against Niven, or excuse me, Piper Niven's her teammate, Mission. So they did kind of warm that up with Mission defeating Piper Niven. Not much to go over there, except for, that it's probably the right booking decision to at least make Mission strong. Might be your first singles win quite some time that you usually see. So good deal there. Piper Niven is kind of dropped a little bit as Chelsea Green has ascended in that tag team.
Yeah, nope, I agree with you. Not much to say there. Fun. It's comedy. Chelsea Green's killing it as normal. So, that's kind of all there is to say about that.
Yeah, there's not much to go over there, as some of these matches don't leave too much discussion. All right, very quickly, let's get into our bad blood predictions. Only 5 matchups that we see necessarily going on here. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline. What do you think?
Man, like we talked about it, I'm split. I think you can't have Roman or Cody get pinned, but they got to hit us with a swerve on this. They got to keep it alive. I'm going to go with Roman and Cody are going to win via some weird disqualification rule. I don't know what the stipulation is between this, but I think it's going to be a disqualification for Roman and Cody. They'll win.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the Bloodline needs it more than the others, but I don't know who takes the pin. You can't have Cody continually getting pinned by a champ. Roman Reigns maybe needs to get the pin so that you can kind of get something, going with the Bloodline against him. I'll go with the Bloodline here to get the upset. Hell in a Cell, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Who lives, who dies? That's the question.
CM Punk and the dog Lenny are going to live. I always root for the dog. So
that's right. I see him. Punk's got to win his first major feud, which has just been going on and on and on. And Drew McIntyre, I don't think is any worse for wear if he does lose this thing. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, we kind of tipped it off earlier. We think Liv's got to take that one. Nia Jackson, Bayley.
I think it's got to be Nia Jax to continue that Tiffany Stratton feud. I think we all want to see that happen now.
Is Tiffany? You think Tiffany cashes in, or you obviously are probably going to get a tease again?
Yeah, I don't think she'll cash in yet, but there's going to be that big tease, and Nia's going to win, and then it's going to lead to the eventual, I saw that, and can't brush it off 3 times. I think she's caught her twice trying to cash in. So, third, what? WWE, 3rd time's the charm. So, I think Nia retains and then goes into a feud with Tiffany.
Yeah, 3rd time's the charm unless it's Andrade and Carmella. Yeah. And then Damian Priest and Finn Balor. By the way, I agree. I don't think Bayley can win this one. I think you have to go with Nia or, again, the surprise interference. Call who's going to win this one is going to be something that's not in the match. That's always hard to predict, but that could be there. Damian Priest and Finn Balor. I think Priest does get the win to kind of to push Balor into demon mode.
Man, I can see that, and I would like that, but I just think in order to continue it, Finn's got to get the win here. You got to give. We talked about it. You got to give Finn Balor some wins, and we want that demon to come out. His actual character, the demon. We want to see it again. It's been like a year and a half, 2 years, I think, since he's last brought the demon. And A demon versus a demon versus priest match. I mean, come on, that writes itself there. I think you got to go with that. So I'm going to go with Finn on this one.
Well, I remember the last time he did bring it out was against Roman. He almost could have beaten the streak too, but that rope snapped on him.
Yep.
Which you just don't see happen too often.
Well, I think the Demon's 0-2 the last 2 times, right? Because he lost to Edge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the one where he hit him with the ladder, and then the Roman Reigns one. So 0-2. The third time's the charm on that one too. He'll come back and win. So.
Well, it'll be wildly entertaining. Bad Blood on Saturday. And it will be wildly entertaining when we review Bad Blood as well next Sunday at our new time from 6 to 7. Thanks for joining us. Emma Spence is waiting in the wings, so we'll break that up for you coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket. Don't go anywhere.